So what is reputation risk today might be something different tomorrow.
Does it give bank examiners license to censor viewpoints or base regulatory decisions on someone's subjective viewpoint of what is a controversial comment?
Free speech is chilled because there's a concern that I might not get access to banking services.
I agree very much, Senator. And I've been very deeply concerned by the Kansas City Federal Reserve's precluding places like the credit union in Colorado from accessing the payment system.
Whether a person has made a, quote, controversial comment in making decisions about access to the payment system. And of course, access to the payment system is a defining feature of a bank, is it not?
Access to the Federal Reserve's payment system is essential for any functioning bank. Yet recent revelations suggest that the Fed may be using subjective criteria like reputational risk to determine who gets that access.
Senator Lummis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ranking Member. And I think that today was the first time I've ever heard the term hot dog used in testimony, and I so appreciate that from my colleague from North Dakota. Mr. Ganon, it's a pleasure to see you here today. I want to thank you for everything you've done for the state of Wyoming in the last few years. I just want you to know I'm personally grateful. And I'm going to start with you. In your legal opinion, what is reputational risk?
That would be very difficult to define, Senator, because it really has no definition. It's something that, as I said earlier, it's malleable. It can be reinterpreted. It's in the discretion of the regulators. So what is reputation risk today might be something different tomorrow.
Does it give bank examiners license to censor viewpoints or base regulatory decisions on someone's subjective viewpoint of what is a controversial comment?
It can.
Well, let me show you that it does. So here's this quote from an internal excerpt. It's a confidential Federal Reserve implementation handbook on account access. It requires that Federal Reserve staff consider whether a person has made a, quote, controversial comment in making decisions about access to the payment system. And of course, access to the payment system is a defining feature of a bank, is it not?
Correct. Very much so. Without that, a bank is a vault.
So is it dangerous for the Fed to serve as judge and jury on a particular banker's speech?
Senator, I'm kind of absorbing that still a little bit because it's really quite unusual. I've never seen anything like that before. But my immediate reaction is, number one, it sort of proves out the comments I've been making about the subjectivity around reputation risk, because who's to say what is controversial and what is not controversial? That's number one. Number two, it's chilling to me that it's possible that access to the Federal Reserve payment system might be dependent on whether the applicant was engaged in some sort of controversial commentary or now I can see it, or activities. That's the kind of stuff that is, that's the kind of thing you see in countries that appear on opaque lists. So I don't see how it has any place in assessing the capabilities of an institution to have access to the federal banking system. We don't want to be in a place where free speech is chilled because there's a concern that I might not get access to banking services.
I agree very much, Senator. And I've been very deeply concerned by the Kansas City Federal Reserve's precluding places like the credit union in Colorado from accessing the payment system. And that chart puts my hair on fire.
If I might add to that, by
Yes,
the way, I believe in litigation involving an institution in Wyoming, Custodia Bank. I believe, if I recall correctly from the oral argument, The position of the Federal Reserve is that the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City has complete and unfettered discretion as to whether or not they allow access to the payment systems.
At a Senate hearing, Senator Cynthia Lummis raised serious concerns about internal Federal Reserve guidance that instructs staff to consider whether a bank's leadership has engaged in controversial commentary or activities. This vague and undefined standard raises concerns about free speech, regulatory overreach, and the potential politicization of banking access. Legal experts warn it could be a modern version of Operation Chokepoint, where access to financial services is quietly restricted based on ideology or public perception. At stake is more than just banking policy. It's the fundamental principle that access to the financial system should not depend on one's opinions or speech.
Well,
That's a lot of power.
yeah, thank you, Mr. Ganon, and that is a concern of mine. I know this is hard to see. I couldn't see it from where you're sitting.
I can see it now.
Okay, let me read it to you all. This, again, is an internal memo within the Fed. It says, Reserve Bank staff generally should consider the conduct of the institution and its leadership and whether association with the institution poses undue reputational risk to the Reserve Bank. Is the institution's leadership associated with controversial commentary or activities? What is a controversial comment or activity? What is that?
Senator, I have no idea.
Is it in the eye of the beholder?
It's completely in the eye of the beholder, yes.
Mr. Ring, what is a controversial commentary or activity?
Well, considering things I've said about pro-America causes and the flag, I feel like that was written for me.
Mr. McCauley?
It appears to be a tacit attempt to hold back speech that is considered undesirable.
And thank you. What I would call this is hard proof of Operation Chokepoint. And it's now been discovered by Congress. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Thank you, Senator, very much for your thoughts and your comments. Thank you to each of the witnesses for participating in today's really important hearing. More to come, by the way.